Before I tell you anything about retirement planning, I want to tell you about my parents. Most people assume financial advisors got into this because they love the markets. That's not my story. I want to tell you something about why I actually do this work, because it's not what most people think. My parents did everything right. My dad had an amazing education and career. My mom had the same pedigree: professor, author, consultant. They saved, they were careful with money, and by most measures, they were successful. And they did what most people do. They trusted the people they were working with to help them protect what they built. And I remember watching them enter retirement thinking, okay, this is it. They made it. All those years of work, all the sacrifice, it was finally going to pay off. And then two things happened. One was a fraud, and then the other was 2008. And between the two of them, they nearly ran out of money. My mother lost about $500,000 in what turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. She didn't do anything reckless. She just trusted someone. She believed in a person who told her what she wanted to hear, that her money was safe, that it was working for her. And then one day she found out it wasn't. It never was. That money was gone. And I want to be careful here because I don't tell this story to generate sympathy. I tell it because I think about how many people are in the exact same position my mother was in. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because nobody has ever sat down with them and shown them the full picture. Nobody had ever said, here's what you have. Here's what it can become. Here's what it can do for you, for your family over time. If someone had shown my mother that $500,000 left in the right place and left alone could grow to nearly $4 million over 20 years, she never takes that risk. She doesn't need to. The plan she already had was the opportunity she was already looking for. She just didn't know it. Then 2008 happened. And if you were anywhere near retirement during that time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Markets dropped by about 50%. My father was 72 years old at the time and fully retired, and he faced the same challenges other retirees face. Portfolios that people had spent decades building were suddenly cut in half. Some people never recovered. My parents got hit twice, once by fraud, once by a market that had no mercy for people with no time to recover. And I watched my parents, people who had worked their whole lives, who had sacrificed, who had done the right things. I watched them scared, genuinely scared about whether the money was going to last. That does something to you when you're watching it happen to your own family. You've worked too long, saved too much, and sacrificed too much to leave any of this to chance. That's a line we say to clients all the time, but I didn't fully understand those words back in 2009. But I was starting to feel them. So I started Momentum Wealth in 2009, right in the middle of one of the worst economic periods most of us had ever seen. And people thought I was crazy. The timing was terrible. The industry was broken. Trust was at an all-time low. But I didn't start this firm because the timing was right. I started it because I had watched something go wrong that didn't have to go wrong. And I couldn't stop thinking about that. See, my grandmother came to America by herself at 16 years old, alone. She crossed the Atlantic from northern Italy to start a life in a country where she didn't speak the language, she didn't know a soul, she had nothing but the belief that it was worth the risk. That's the kind of people I come from. People who move forward even when it's hard. People who don't wait for the right conditions to be perfect before they do what they believe in. That's where Always Forward comes from. It's not a marketing slogan. It's a family value. It's how I was raised to think about hard things. And it's the mindset that drives everything we do at Momentum Wealth. The firm I built isn't just built around investment returns or portfolio performance. It's built around a very specific belief that the people who have spent 30 or 40 years building wealth deserve a plan that actually protects it, not just a stack of investments, not just a portfolio, a real plan. See, a stack of investments is not a plan. And we build our entire process around 5 things: income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and legacy. Because retirement isn't just about the money growing. It's about the money working. It's about making sure every dollar has a purpose. And above all of that, it's about making sure you feel clear enough to actually enjoy the retirement you've earned. We call that our Retire Forward process. 3 steps: belief, confidence, freedom. Because in my experience, that's actually how retirement readiness works. It starts with believing a good plan is possible. It grows into confidence that your plan is solid. And it ends in freedom, the real kind, where you can actually live the life you built. I can't go back and change what my parents went through, but I can make sure it doesn't happen to you. And the families we work with, and the thousands of people who are out there right now within 5 or 10 years of retirement with more questions than answers, wondering if they've done enough, wondering if the plan they have is actually a plan, that's why we show up. That's why this channel exists. That's why our entire team comes in every day and does the work we do. Time doesn't fix problems. It reduces the options we have to fix them. So if you're within 10 years of retirement and you've never sat down with someone who looked at the full picture, income, taxes, healthcare, legacy, all of it, I'd encourage you to do that. Come in, sit down with our team, go through this process, and let's make sure you're okay. Because you worked too long and built too much to leave any of this to chance. That's why I do this work. If you want to start that conversation with us, we do something called a Retire Forward Readiness Assessment. It's a no-pressure way to look at your full picture and see where you actually stand. The link is in the description. If this connects with you, stick around. We put out content every week on everything from income planning to taxes to the emotional side of retirement. Subscribe, and let's keep the conversation going.